10 warning signs your insulin is too high. Insulin resistance symptoms explained. If you are over 60, or if you care about staying independent, energetic, and mentally sharp as you age, what I'm about to share may completely change how you understand your body. Because the real danger in metabolic health is not what most people feel, and it is not what most routine blood tests show. It is something developing silently for years. Before we go any further, subscribe to this channel right now and leave a comment saying, "I take control of my health," because this helps more people find this information and also tells me you are serious about your long-term health. Now let's begin. Hello health champions, I'm Dr. David, a geriatric specialist. Today I want to talk about something most people never discover until it is already advanced. The early warning signs that your insulin levels are too high. And I want to make something very clear from the start. Insulin resistance does not begin when blood sugar becomes abnormal. It begins long before that while your glucose test still looks completely normal. This is where most people are misled. They look at blood sugar and assume everything is fine. But glucose is not the root problem. Glucose is the final controlled number, what your body is actively forcing into a normal range. The real story is insulin. Insulin is the hormone working behind the scenes, and when it starts rising, that is your earliest warning sign. Now let's start with something very subtle, a slow upward drift in fasting blood sugar, not diabetic levels, not anything alarming, just small changes over time. For example, 85 becomes 88, then 90, then 95, still considered normal on a lab report, but metabolically your body is no longer in the same state. Think of it like a thermostat in a house. The temperature still looks stable, but the system is working harder and harder to maintain it. That extra effort is insulin. And here is the key point most people never realize. At this stage you may feel completely fine, no symptoms, no diagnosis, but inside the body insulin is already increasing. Now let's talk about something many people recognize in daily life but do not understand. Sugar cravings. Have you ever noticed how certain foods feel almost compelling even when you are not truly hungry? This is not a lack of willpower, this is a hormonal cycle. When you eat refined carbohydrates or sugar, blood glucose rises quickly, insulin rises to bring it down. Then glucose drops again, sometimes too low too fast. And when that drop happens, the brain interprets it as an energy emergency and demands fuel immediately. That is when cravings appear, up, down, up, down. This is the blood sugar roller coaster, and every cycle pushes insulin higher. Now let's go one level deeper. Hunger that does not make sense. Normally when you eat, your body stores excess energy for later use. Insulin is the key hormone that allows the storage, and it also prevents stored fat from being released too easily. That is normal physiology. It is supposed to work like a balance system. But when insulin is chronically high, that system becomes locked. Your body can store energy, but it struggles to release it. So even if you have plenty of stored energy, your cells cannot access it properly, and the brain interprets this as starvation, so you feel hungry even when you have enough fuel. And this leads directly into stubborn weight gain, not the kind that happens overnight, but slow progressive weight gain that becomes harder to reverse over time. Because when insulin is high, your body is biased towards storage, not burning. This is not a willpower issue, this is a hormonal setting issue. Now let's talk about something very common, especially in older adults. Fatigue after eating. You finish a meal, and instead of feeling energized, you feel heavy, sleepy, or mentally slow. This often happens when insulin resistance begins to affect how cells use energy. Glucose is present in the bloodstream, but it cannot enter the cells efficiently, so you have a strange situation. Energy outside the cell, but low energy inside the cell. At the same time, your body tries to convert excess glucose into fat, and that process also consumes energy. So fatigue becomes even worse. Now here is something very important. This is not just about the body. It affects the brain as well. Brain fog, forgetfulness, slower thinking, difficulty focusing. Many people assume this is just aging, but increasingly research shows that insulin resistance in the brain plays a major role. Some scientists even refer to this as type 3 diabetes, not as a separate disease, but as a way of describing how deeply insulin affects brain function. Now let's talk about blood pressure. High insulin affects the kidneys in a very specific way. It increases sodium retention, and where sodium goes, water follows. This increases blood volume and raises pressure inside the arteries. At first the body compensates, it adjusts, it balances, but over time chronic insulin elevation shifts the system upward and high blood pressure becomes persistent. Now let's move to something many people ignore. Skin changes, skin tags, small growths on the neck or underarms, darkened patches and skin folds. These are often visible signs of insulin resistance because insulin is a growth-promoting hormone. It signals cells to grow and divide. And when insulin is elevated for long periods, that growth signal becomes excessive, especially in areas of friction. Now let's talk about something more serious, nerve health. Tingling in the hands, numbness in the feet, burning sensations. High glucose and insulin create inflammation and oxidative stress. They damage small blood vessels that supply the nerves. Over time, nerves receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients, leading to dysfunction. Now I want to connect everything for you. Imagine a timeline of 10 to 20 years. At the beginning, fasting glucose is 85 and insulin is 4. Everything looks perfect. 5 years later, glucose is still normal, but insulin has doubled. Another 5 years, glucose is still normal, but insulin continues to rise significantly. During this entire time, most people feel fine and blood tests look normal. But internally, the system is working harder and harder to maintain balance. Then eventually glucose begins to rise, first slightly, then more clearly, and finally diabetes is diagnosed. But by that point, the process has been active for many years. This is why insulin is so important. It reveals what glucose hides. It shows the true workload of your metabolism long before failure occurs. And this is also why markers like triglycerides, HDL ratio, and A1C can provide additional clues, but insulin remains the earliest and most sensitive signal we have. So what does this mean for you? It means metabolic disease is not sudden, it is gradual, it is detectable early, and in many cases it is reversible if caught in time. It also means that symptoms like cravings, fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, and blood pressure changes are not random problems. They are connected signals from the same system, and most importantly, it means you still have time to act. If this helped you understand your body in a clearer way, stay with this channel, because next I will show you how insulin resistance can be improved naturally through simple changes in food timing, movement, and daily habits that reset your metabolism. And again, if you haven't already, subscribe now and leave a comment telling me what part of this surprised you the most.